You're 7 years old, half asleep in the back of the car, when the smell hits you. Frying bacon, hot vinyl, and coffee from a machine. The service station. For millions of British families, this was where the holiday really began, long before motorway food turned sad and shrink-wrapped. These were the meals we'd give anything to taste just once more. Some you'll have forgotten entirely, and number 1 will drop you straight back into childhood. Let's count down 20 you'll never forget. Number 20. A cup of Heinz tomato soup and a soft, white roll was the cheapest ticket. Into the warm inside of a service station, the first thing many families reached for after 2 hours crammed in the back of a Cortina. Ladled from a steaming urn into a thick white cup, the soup glowed an almost unnatural orange under the strip lights, its surface already skinned over by the time you carried the tray to a Formica table. A buttered roll on the side, sometimes a cellophane packet of crackers, and for around 15 pence a fractious child could be quieted while the adults queued for something bigger. The smell was sweet and faintly tinny, exactly the same at Watford Gap as it was at Forton, part of the strange comfort of a chain that tasted identical the length of the country. Nobody pretended it was special. Yet on a grey drive to the coast, that first scalding, slightly claggy mouthful was the moment a holiday truly began. Cheap, hot, and reliable, it asked for nothing, and gave just enough. Number 19. Egg and cress sandwiches, sealed in triangular plastic cartons, sat in tilted rows in the chill cabinet, like tiny greenhouses fogged with condensation. The bread was pale and slightly damp, the filling a pale yellow paste flecked with green, the cress adding little more than the idea of freshness. For 20 pence or so, a family could grab a couple of packs and eat on the move, or spread them across a tray beside cups of tea while deciding how much further there was to go. The appeal was never the taste, it was the certainty. You knew exactly what you were getting, whether the sign outside said Blue Boar, Granada, or Trust House Forte. Fathers tore into them standing up, keen to get back on the road. Children peeled the 2 triangles apart to inspect the filling with deep suspicion. Mothers packed a spare into a handbag for later. In an age before petrol stations sold anything worth eating, the plastic sandwich triangle was the motorway's great convenience, the food of people who could not afford to stop for long. Number 18. The vending machine drink was a ritual all its own, performed by children given a handful of coins and sent off to fetch it. You dropped the money into the slot, watched a thin paper cup drop crookedly into place, then waited as a spout dispensed a thin stream of something, claiming to be hot chocolate, oxtail soup, or milky coffee. Half the time the cup arrived late and the drink poured straight onto the metal grill. The chocolate was watery and oddly savory, the coffee bitter beneath a raft of powdered whitener. Yet the machine felt like modern magic in 1973. A drink cost perhaps 5 pence, and the cup was always too hot to hold and too flimsy to carry, forcing an awkward shuffle back to the table with scalded fingertips. For the youngest travelers, being trusted with the coins was a small promotion, a first taste of independence somewhere on the M6. The drink itself was almost beside the point. The wonder was watching the machine make it. Number 17. The sausage roll from the heated cabinet was the impulse buy that no queue could resist, glistening under the lamp with its lacquered, over-browned pastry. Kept warm for hours, sometimes for most of the day, the pastry had passed from flaky to faintly chewy, and the filling was a dense, peppery pink that bore only a passing acquaintance with pork. Still, at around 12 pence, it was hot, portable, and enormously satisfying to a child clutching it in a paper napkin as the family walked back to the car park. The smell hit you the moment you entered the shop, mingling with fried onions and floor polish into the single scent that meant Motorway. Crumbs went everywhere, down the front of anoraks and into the footwells of the estate. Nobody minded. The sausage roll asked for no cutlery and no table, and it could be eaten while walking, queuing, or waiting for a parent to find the loos. It was fuel for the impatient, and Britain in the 70s was always impatient to get to the sea. Number 16. Beans on toast was the safe harbor of the self-service cafeteria, the order a nervous parent could rely on when the children refused everything else. 2 slices of toast, gone slightly leathery under the heat lamp, arrived beneath a ladle of Heinz baked beans in that unmistakable tomato-orange sauce, a knob of margarine melting somewhere underneath. For around 25 pence it filled a plate and calmed a table, honest and familiar in a way that reassured travelers a long way from home. There was nothing regional or seasonal about it. It was the same at Kiel as at Newport Pagnell, spooned onto the same institutional crockery by the same white-hatted server behind the same steel counter. Children mashed the beans into the toast until the whole thing became a single soft mound. Fathers added a shake of pepper and a squirt of red sauce from the sticky communal bottle. Simple, cheap, and utterly dependable, beans on toast was the meal that never disappointed because it never promised much. On a rain-lashed forecourt, that quiet reliability was worth more than any luxury. Number 15. The ham salad was the grown-up choice, ordered by mothers keen to feel they had eaten something proper before the second leg of the drive. It arrived as a cold plate assembled with a strange formality. 2 curling slices of pink ham, a quartered tomato, a limp leaf or 2 of lettuce, a wedge of hard-boiled egg, and a spoonful of salad cream deposited on the rim like an afterthought. The whole thing looked healthier than it tasted, and for perhaps 45 pence, it offered the illusion of restraint amid a shop full of chips and pastry. The ham was thin and faintly wet, the tomato watery, the salad cream tangy enough to carry the lot. Yet there was a certain dignity to it, a sense that one was doing the sensible thing. Fathers eyed the plate with pity and returned to their fry-ups. Children asked, appalled, why anyone would choose salad on holiday. But the Motorway ham salad had its loyal following, the travelers who wanted to arrive at the caravan feeling they had not entirely surrendered to Greece. Number 14. The Cornish pasty was the hot cabinet's heavyweight, a solid, crimped parcel that felt like proper food in the hand. Reheated to within an inch of its life, its crust had gone hard at the edges and soft in the middle, the filling a dense mixture of minced meat, potato, and swede that steamed alarmingly when bitten too soon. At around 18 pence, it was a bargain by the standards of the road, filling enough to see a child through to the next county without complaint. The great danger was the first bite, taken in the car before it had cooled, scalding the roof of many a young mouth on the way to Devon. Nobody pretended these were the genuine article baked in a Cornish kitchen, but on the long grind south they carried a whiff of the West Country all the same, a promise of the holiday to come. Crumbs of pastry gathered in the folds of the road atlas. The smell lingered in the car for miles. For families heading down to the coast, the pasty was a small, warm rehearsal for arrival. Number 13. The cheese and onion toastie emerged from the counter, pressed flat and welded shut, its edges sealed by the machine into sharp, golden ridges. Inside, the cheese had turned to molten lava, strung with softened onion, hot enough to strip skin from the unwary and remain untouchable for a full 5 minutes. For around 22 pence, it was one of the great value hits of the cafeteria, more than a snack, less than a meal, and endlessly satisfying to bite once it had finally cooled. The toaster left neat diagonal scorch lines across the bread, the mark of authenticity that told you it had been done properly. Children loved the drama of the escaping cheese, blowing on each bite and burning themselves anyway. The smell of grilled onion drifted across the whole seating area. It was food designed for the road, compact and self-contained, needing no plate and no fuss. Long before the panini and the ciabatta arrived to make things complicated, the humble toastie ruled the motorway, a small triumph of heat, cheese, and impatience served on a paper napkin. Number 12. Fish fingers, chips, and a scoop of mushy peas was the children's meal that appeared on every motorway menu, the safe order when a small traveler announced they were starving and would eat nothing unfamiliar. 3 or 4 bird's eye fingers, crisp and orange, sat beside a modest pile of chips and a green spoonful of peas, arranged on a plate small enough to feel like it was made for a child. For around 30 pence it kept the peace, and it looked exactly like the tea served at home, which was precisely the point. Nothing on that plate frightened anyone. The fingers were dipped in ketchup, the chips eaten with fingers despite protests, the peas largely ignored. Parents ordered it with relief, knowing that a full plate meant a quiet back seat for the next 50 miles. There was no ambition to it, no regional flourish, just the reliable comfort of the ordinary served far from home. On the great annual migration to the seaside, the children's fish finger plate was the meal that stopped a holiday collapsing before it had begun. Number 11. Jelly and ice cream, served in a footed glass dish, was the pudding that turned a grim rest stop into a genuine treat. A wobbling mound of orange or red jelly, a scoop of hard vanilla ice cream slowly slumping into it, and perhaps a squirt of raspberry sauce for the lucky ones. For around 15 pence, it delivered pure delight to a child who had endured hours of motorway monotony, the reward held out through gritted teeth by parents desperate to keep the peace. The jelly caught the strip lights and glowed like stained glass. The ice cream fought a losing battle against the warmth of the cafeteria, softening at the edges into a sweet pool. Children ate it slowly to make it last, scraping the glass clean and eyeing the empty dish with regret. It required no oven, no skill, only a fridge and a scoop, which is exactly why every service station kept it on. Long before soft-serve machines and cardboard tubs took over, the jelly and ice cream dish was the small, shining highlight of the journey south. Number 10. Scampi and chips in a plastic basket was the taste of aspiration, the order that told the table someone was treating themselves. Golden breaded scampi, arranged on a paper doily inside a molded orange basket, came with a mound of chips, a wedge of lemon, and a little pot of tartar sauce that felt impossibly sophisticated in 1975. For around 65 pence, it was among the pricier things on the board, a small indulgence for a father who had done all the driving and felt he had earned it. The scampi was often more breadcrumb than shellfish, the lemon there for show as much as flavor. Yet the whole thing carried an air of the restaurant, of a proper night out transplanted to the motorway. The basket itself was half the appeal, a novelty that turned ordinary food into something worth ordering. Children stole chips from around the edges. Mothers pronounced it lovely and quietly noted the price. In the age of the basket meal, scampi was the height of service station glamour, dignity served on a doily. Number 9. Chicken in a basket carried the same theatre as the scampi, but with even greater swagger, the meal that made a family feel they had arrived somewhere special. A few pieces of golden fried chicken, crisp-skinned and glistening, sat on the same paper doily in the same orange basket, flanked by chips and perhaps a token wedge of tomato. For around 70 pence, it was a small extravagance, the order placed by the adult who wanted the drive to feel like the start of a proper break rather than a chore. The chicken was eaten with fingers, greasy and satisfying. The basket passed around so everyone could steal a chip. There was something faintly glamorous about it, a nightclub dish that had escaped into the daylight of the motorway cafeteria. Napkins were needed in quantity, and never quite sufficient. The smell of fried chicken hung over the whole table. It was food that felt like an occasion, and on the long haul to the coast, families were grateful for anything that made the journey feel like the holiday had genuinely started. Number 8. Gammon steak with a pineapple ring was the closest the motorway came to a grand dinner, the order that signaled real ambition. A thick slab of gammon, its edge fringed with fat, arrived crowned with a single glistening ring of tinned pineapple, a pile of chips beside it, and often a grilled tomato sliding across the plate. For around 75 pence, it was among the most expensive things on offer, reserved for anniversaries on the road, or for a father determined to eat properly before facing another 3 hours behind the wheel. The salt of the ham against the sweet of the fruit was a combination that felt daring and modern, the height of 70s dining transplanted to a formica table under strip lights. The gammon could be tough, the pineapple straight from a catering tin, yet the whole plate carried an unmistakable sense of occasion. Mothers cut it into neat squares. Children asked why fruit was on the dinner. But the gammon and pineapple was the meal that made the motorway feel, for 20 minutes, like a proper restaurant somewhere near the sea. Number 7. Steak and kidney pie with chips and gravy was the workhorse of the hot counter, the meal for anyone who wanted something that felt like a Sunday dinner in the middle of a Tuesday drive. A deep individual pie, its lid puffed and glazed, was tipped onto the plate beside a heap of chips and drowned in thick brown gravy poured from a battered metal jug. For around 55 pence, it delivered real heft, the kind of meal that sat heavily and happily through the next 100 miles. The pastry was crisp on top and soft where the gravy soaked it, the filling dark and savory, studded with pieces of kidney that children picked out and left in a small, suspicious pile. Fathers ate it with the relief of men who had earned it. Steam rose from the plate and fogged the window beside the table. It was food built for endurance, filling and warm, and utterly without pretension. On a cold, rain-swept forecourt somewhere north of Birmingham, the steak and kidney pie was proper comfort, served fast and eaten faster. Number 6. Fish and chips was the motorway's homage to the seaside. It was carrying everyone towards, the order that felt like a promise of things to come. A battered fillet of cod or haddock, crisp and golden, arrived with a generous pile of chips, a slice of white bread and butter, and a wedge of lemon that mostly went unused. For around 50 pence, it was a reliable favorite, the meal that reminded travelers exactly why they were spending a Saturday crawling down the M5. The batter was thick and often a touch greasy, the fish flaking apart under the fork, the chips soft and plentiful. Salt and vinegar came from the sticky bottles chained, it seemed, to every table. Children doused everything in ketchup and ate the chips first. There was a lovely circularity to ordering fish and chips on the way to the coast, a first taste of the holiday before the holiday had even begun. It was never quite as good as the chippy by the promenade, but it stirred the anticipation all the same, and that anticipation was half the pleasure. Number 5. The Knickerbocker glory was the showstopper, the pudding that stopped children mid-sentence when it appeared on a passing tray. Built in a tall, fluted glass, it layered ice cream, tinned fruit cocktail, red jelly, and a lurid raspberry syrup, all crowned with a swirl of cream, a scatter of chopped nuts, and a single glaced cherry balanced on top. It came with a long spoon, because no ordinary one could reach the bottom, and for around 30 pence, it was the single most glamorous thing a child could order on a British motorway. Getting to the bottom was an event in itself, a slow excavation through slippery layers that ended with a mouthful of syrup pooled at the base of the glass. Siblings watched with envy across the table. Parents regretted the sugar and relented anyway. The whole construction glowed under the fluorescent lights like a small edible cathedral. Long before dessert menus grew serious, the Knickerbocker glory was the height of childhood ambition, a towering, wobbling reward that made a grey rest stop feel, for a few sweet minutes, like the greatest place on earth. Number 4. Sausage, egg, and chips was the plate that anchored the entire menu. The order shouted across the counter more than any other. 2 plump sausages, a fried egg with its yolk still soft, and a mountain of chips, all glistening faintly with the fat of the griddle, arrived on a warm plate that steamed in the cold cafeteria air. For around 40 pence, it was the perfect balance of price and satisfaction, filling enough to justify the stop and cheap enough not to spoil the holiday budget. The yolk was pierced first, always, and left to run across the chips in a golden flood. The sausages were split and dipped, the whole plate finished with a shake of salt and a smear of brown sauce. It was the food of drivers and their families the length of the land, the same at Trowell as at Leicester Forest East, spooned out fast to feed the endless stream of holidaymakers pouring off the slip road. Unpretentious and enormously beloved, sausage, egg, and chips was the true engine room of the Motorway cafeteria, and half of Britain grew up eating it somewhere on the way to somewhere else. Number 3. Arctic roll was the pudding that felt like magic, a spiral of vanilla ice cream wrapped in a thin sleeve of sponge and a bright band of raspberry jam, served in neat, cold slices. That ice cream could survive inside cake without either melting or freezing solid seemed. To a child in 1974, close to a miracle. For around 20 pence a slice, it was one of the great affordable treats of the road, produced in staggering quantities across Britain and served identically wherever the motorway ran. The sponge was faintly damp, the jam a startling pink, the ice cream firm and sweet in the middle. Children ate it slowly, working from the sponge inward to save the best for last. It sat on the plate looking impossibly modern, a factory marvel of the space age served under strip lights. Mothers approved of the small portion. Fathers had it because the children were having it. On the long, tiring drive south, Arctic roll was the cool, sweet, full stop at the end of a hot plate of chips, and its arrival meant the meal and the ordeal of the queue was finally over. Number 2. Black Forest Gateau was the grown-up glamour of the dessert cabinet, a towering wedge of chocolate sponge layered with cream and dark cherries, dusted with chocolate curls, and finished with a cherry pressed into the peak. In the 70s, it was the most sophisticated pudding a British family could imagine, a taste of the continent smuggled onto a service station tray, and ordering it felt like a small act of daring. For around 30 pence a slice, it was priced as a treat, the choice of a mother who fancied something a little special, or a father marking the holiday's proper start. The sponge was often dry, the cherries unmistakably from a tin, the cream more foam than dairy, and none of it mattered in the slightest. It looked magnificent, and it tasted of celebration. Children begged for the cherry on top. The dark, sticky layers left a smear on every fork. For a brief, exotic moment, Black Forest Gateau made a grey rest stop on the M1 feel like a cafe in some far-off European city, and that small flight of glamour was exactly what the long drive needed. Number 1. The full English breakfast served all day crowned the motorway menu as the ultimate ritual of the holiday drive. Bacon, sausage, fried egg, baked beans, a grilled tomato, a slice of fried bread, and sometimes a spoonful of mushroom, all piled onto a single plate and eaten at the very start of the journey, long before the sun had properly risen. For around 60 pence, it was the meal that launched 1,000 holidays, ordered at 6:30 by families who had set off in the dark to beat the traffic, and stopped at the first services to fortify themselves for the long haul ahead. The smell of frying bacon reached the car park. The egg yolk broke across the beans. The fried bread soaked up whatever was left, and the whole plate sent everyone back to the road, warm, full, and ready for anything. Children remember it as the moment the adventure truly began, the pause before the caravan, the beach, the endless motorway. Fathers ate it with the quiet ceremony of men about to drive 300 miles. It was the same in every service station in the land, and it was perfect precisely because it never changed. More than any other, this was the meal that meant the holiday had started, served fast under fluorescent lights while the motorway waited outside. From a cup of tomato soup at number 20 to the great full English at the very top, these were the meals that fed a nation on the move. Cheap, cheerful, and eaten a long way from home, they turned a concrete rest stop into part of the adventure. The service stations have changed, the formica has gone, and the baskets and glass dishes have vanished with them. But for anyone who grew up in the back of an overloaded estate car, one whiff of fried onions and vinyl still brings it all rushing back. Which one did your family always order? Let me know in the comments.